Welcome to Kingdom Insights, the kingdom of God as described in the parables of Jesus. Today we're going to ask, what is the kingdom of God like? And Jesus will answer, it's like a mustard seed. It's like a hidden treasure. It's like a dragnet. It's like one who uses their talent wisely. Hey there. Let's talk about the parables of Jesus and the kingdom of God. I know. It sounds like heavy stuff, but trust me, it's not all fire and brimstone. In fact, Jesus used these stories to teach us about a kingdom that is inclusive, expanding, and full of love and mercy. For starters, the kingdom of God is not some exclusive club for the elite. Nope. In the parable of the great banquet, everyone is invited to the party. So don't worry. You don't need a fancy membership card to join. And guess what? The kingdom isn't just some far off future reality. It's happening right now, like a tiny mustard seed growing into a big old tree. So if you're feeling discouraged, remember that God's kingdom is constantly expanding and bringing hope to the world. We read about the parable of the great banquet in Luke 14:15-24. You should check it out. This parable of the mustard seed is one of several that Jesus used to explain the nature of the kingdom of God. The mustard seed was commonly used illustration in the ancient world to represent something small and insignificant. However, Jesus points out that even though the mustard seed is tiny, it has the potential to grow into something much larger and more significant, like a little boy. In this parable, Jesus is saying that the kingdom of God may start small, but it has the potential to grow and expand to the point where it can provide shelter and protection for all who seek refuge in it. The parable teaches that the kingdom of God is not just an abstract idea or a future promise, but a present reality that can be experienced and enjoyed by those who are willing to embrace it. The kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. The kingdom of God is like a mustard seed, which when it is sown on the ground is smaller than all the seeds on earth. Yet when it is sown, it grows up and becomes larger than all the garden herbs and forms large branches, so that the birds of the sky are able to make nests and dwell in its shade. Mark 4:31 and 32. The kingdom of God is like a hidden treasure. Matthew 13:45 and 46 is the passage from the New Testament of the Christian Bible, which reads, "Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it." This parable of Jesus emphasizes the value of the kingdom of heaven and the importance of pursuing it above all else. The parable tells of a merchant who is searching for fine pearls, which in ancient times were considered to be among the most valuable of all possessions. When the merchant finds a pearl of great value, he is willing to give up everything he has in order to obtain it. Long known as the Queen of Gems, pearls possess a history and allure far beyond what today's wearer may recognize. Throughout much of recorded history, a natural pearl necklace comprised of matched spheres was a treasure of almost incomparable value. In fact, the most expensive jewelry in the world. Now we see pearls almost as accessories, relatively inexpensive decorations to accompany more costly gemstones. Nova. The parable is often interpreted to mean that the kingdom of heaven is of such great value that it is worth giving up everything else in order to obtain it. The kingdom of heaven is not something that can be acquired through material possessions, power, or status, but is something that must be pursued with single-minded devotion. The parable also suggests that the kingdom of heaven is not something that can be stumbled upon by chance, but must be actively sought out. Just as the merchant searched diligently for fine pearls, so too must we seek out the kingdom of heaven with intentionality and purpose. Overall, the parable of the pearl of great value emphasizes the incomparable worth of the kingdom of heaven and challenges us to make it our top priority in life, even if it means giving up everything else in order to obtain it. The kingdom of heaven is like a hidden treasure. Matthew 13:44 speaks to the zeal of the early church. It is a passage from the New Testament of the Christian Bible which reads, "The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then, in his joy, went and sold all he had and bought that field." This parable of Jesus is similar in theme to the previous passage we looked at in Matthew 13:45 and 46. The parable tells of a man who discovers a hidden treasure in a field. The treasure is of such great value, the man is willing to give up everything he has in order to obtain it. The parable is often interpreted to mean that the kingdom of heaven is a treasure that is worth more than anything else in life. It is a hidden treasure that must be actively sought out and discovered, and once it is found, it is worth giving up everything else in order to possess it. The parable also suggests that the kingdom of heaven is not something that can be attained through human effort and achievement, but is a gift that must be received with joy and gratitude. The man in the parable does not earn or deserve the treasure he finds, but rather stumbles upon it by chance. This highlights the grace and mercy of God in offering the kingdom of heaven as a gift to those who seek it. Overall, the parable of the hidden treasure emphasizes the surpassing value of the kingdom of heaven and challenges us to prioritize it above all else in life. It also reminds us that the kingdom of heaven is a gift to be received with joy and gratitude rather than something we can earn or achieve on our own. The kingdom of heaven is like a dragnet. Matthew 13:47-48 is a passage from the New Testament of the Christian Bible, which reads, "Once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up on the shore. Then they sat down and collected the good fish in a basket, but threw the bad fish away." This parable of Jesus compares the kingdom of heaven to a fishing net that catches all kinds of fish. The net represents the message of the gospel that goes out to all people, and the fish represent those who respond to the message by accepting the invitation to enter into the kingdom of heaven. The parable suggests that the kingdom of heaven is inclusive and open to all, regardless of their background, status, or sinfulness. The net catches both good and bad fish, symbolizing the fact that the kingdom of heaven is not reserved for a select few, but open to all who are willing to come. At the same time, the parable also suggests that there will be a final separation of those who are part of the kingdom of heaven and those who are not. The fishermen separate the good fish from the bad fish, the disciples, which represents the final judgment when God will separate the righteous from the unrighteous. Overall, the parable of the fishing net emphasizes the inclusive nature of the kingdom of heaven and challenges us to be open to all who are willing to come. It also reminds us that there will be a final judgment when God will separate the righteous from the unrighteous. The kingdom of heaven is like one who uses their talents wisely. Matthew 25:14-18 is a passage from the New Testament of the Christian Bible, which reads, "For it will be like a man going on a journey, who called his servant and entrusted them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to another each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who received the 5 talents went at once and traded them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money." This parable of Jesus tells the story of a wealthy man who entrusts his property to 3 of his servants before going on a journey. He gives them varying amounts of talents, a unit of money, according to their abilities. The first 2 servants invest the talents and double their value, while the 3rd servant buries his talent in the ground and does nothing with it. The parable is often interpreted to mean that God has entrusted each of us with gifts, talents, and resources, and expects us to use them wisely for his purpose. The servants who invest their talents and double their value are praised for their faithfulness and resourcefulness, while the servant who buries his talent is rebuked for his laziness and fearfulness. The parable also emphasizes the importance of using our gifts and our resources to serve God and others, rather than just seeking our own gain or comfort. The first 2 servants invest their talents and make a profit, but they do so in a way that honors their master and benefits others. Similarly, we are called to use our gifts and our resources to advance God's kingdom and bless those around us. Overall, the parable of the talents challenges us to be faithful and diligent stewards of the gifts and resources that God has entrusted to us, and to use them in a way that honors Him and blesses others. Again, honors Him and blesses others. A talent is a unit of weight used in the ancient world, often used for weighing gold and silver, but also mentioned in connection with other metals, ivory and frankincense. In this parable, each talent is about 75 pounds of pure gold. The next slide will examine why. A talent was the heaviest or largest biblical unit of measurement for weight, equal to about 75 pounds or 35 kilograms. The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, as described in the parables of Jesus. Regarding the kingdom of God parable, here's the best part. The kingdom of God is marked by radical love, mercy, and forgiveness. So no matter what mistakes you've made, there's always a way back to God's grace, back to his table. Just look at the parable of the prodigal son, where the father welcomes his wayward son back with open arms. That's the kind of love that God has for you. Finally, the kingdom of God turns our cultural norms upside down. It's not about who's popular or powerful, but about acting justly and with loving mercy. So go ahead, be a good Samaritan, showing compassion to those who need it most. In conclusion, the parables of Jesus remind us that God's kingdom is a place of joy, love, and hope. So let's embrace these values and live like citizens of the kingdom, spreading love and mercy wherever we go. Blessings.